My beloved friend, have you ever found yourself lying awake at night, your heart heavy with worries you can't even name? Maybe it's the silence after the phone call you dreaded, or the loneliness that slips in after everyone else has gone to bed. Sometimes life has a way of falling apart just when we least expect it. You try to hold everything together, your job, your family, your faith, but the weight just keeps piling on. It's in those quiet, broken moments that our faith feels the smallest, isn't it? You wonder if God is listening. You might even wonder if He's there at all. I want you to know you are not alone in that feeling. We all find ourselves at some point questioning, doubting, struggling to keep faith alive when the world feels like it's coming undone. Today, let's talk honestly about what it really means to keep faith strong when life falls apart. Not as some abstract, unreachable ideal, but as something living and real, something you can hold on to when the storms of life feel too fierce. Faith, after all, isn't just about believing when everything is easy. It's about trusting when the road is dark, when the answers don't come, when your prayers echo back in silence. That's the kind of faith Jesus spoke of, and that's the faith we're going to find together. Maybe you're watching this because you feel your own faith slipping. Maybe something happened, a loss, a betrayal, an unexpected diagnosis, or just a slow creeping exhaustion that's worn you down over the years. Or maybe you're here out of curiosity, wondering if faith can really make a difference. Whatever brought you here, I'm glad you stayed. Because right now, in this very moment, you matter. Your questions matter. Your story matters. Let's begin with a simple truth. It's okay to feel afraid. So often we tell ourselves that being faithful means never being scared, never doubting, never crying. But even Jesus wept. Even Jesus felt sorrow. When his friend Lazarus died, he didn't hide his pain, he shared it. That moment tells us that faith doesn't mean denying our humanity. It means bringing our fears, our doubts, and our tears honestly to God. So if you're feeling anxious right now, if your heart is pounding with questions you can't answer, breathe. You don't have to pretend. You don't have to be perfect to be loved. Imagine Jesus sitting beside you right where you are in the kitchen with a cold cup of coffee, or on the edge of your bed, or in the quiet of your car. Imagine him looking at you with love, not judgment. When life unravels, his invitation is simple. Come to me, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Those aren't just words for someone else, they're for you right now. Sometimes the very first step to keeping faith is just admitting, Lord, I'm tired. I don't know what to do. I need you. The second thing to remember, dear friend, is that your pain is not a sign of weak faith. It's easy to believe, especially when scrolling through social media or listening to the highlight reels of others' lives, that everyone else has it all together. But the truth is, everyone struggles. Faith isn't the absence of hardship. It's what gives us strength to stand when the wind is blowing hardest. Think of a tree in a storm. Its branches might sway, its leaves might be torn away, but its roots, those deep, unseen roots, hold it steady. Your faith, even when shaken, can be like that. Every tear you cry, every prayer you whisper in the dark is watering the roots of your soul. I remember a time when I thought I'd lost my way. The future I'd hoped for slipped right through my hands. I kept praying for answers, but none came. For a while, I even stopped praying. Maybe you've been there. Maybe you're there now. But over time, I realized that faith doesn't always look like joy. Sometimes faith is just the decision to keep showing up, to keep breathing, to keep hoping, even when you can't see the way out. And slowly, quietly, God's presence began to shine through the cracks of my broken plans. Child, don't let fear take over your heart. It's so easy to let anxiety become the loudest voice, to imagine every worst-case scenario. But here's something I want you to know. Fear is not from God. Fear tells us that we're alone, that things will never change, that we're powerless. Faith, on the other hand, tells us that even when everything else falls apart, God remains. He is not surprised by your struggles. He isn't disappointed in your tears. In fact, the Bible says he keeps every tear in a bottle. That means he sees you, every pain, every worry, every hope. When you feel overwhelmed, try to pause for a moment. Take a deep breath. Imagine handing your fear to God, like setting down a heavy stone you've been carrying for far too long. Sometimes the most powerful prayer is simply, help me, Lord. You don't have to have fancy words. You don't need to impress God. He hears the cries of your heart even when you can't say them out loud. Now, perhaps you're wondering how to move forward from that place. Maybe you're asking, okay, but what do I actually do when my faith feels small and my problems feel so big? Let's talk about something practical, reaching out. You don't have to walk through this alone. Sometimes God answers our prayers through the people around us, a friend who listens, a neighbor who offers a kind word, a stranger's unexpected smile. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Let others support you, pray for you, walk beside you. As we continue, keep in your heart that faith isn't about never falling down. It's about getting back up with God's help, one small step at a time. Now that we've begun to open up about the fears we face and the hope that keeps us going, let's gently turn to the next steps. Ways to rebuild trust and hope, even when life seems shattered. When the days seem endless and every morning feels heavier than the last, it can be hard to trust that God is still present. You might look at your life and think, why isn't anything getting better? Why do I feel so alone even when I pray? It's natural to feel lost in these moments. You might even find yourself questioning if your faith is real at all. Let me tell you, those questions don't make you any less faithful, they make you human. One thing that can help during these dark times is remembering that faith isn't something you have to stir up by yourself. Sometimes faith is something you borrow from others. There's an old story about friends bringing a paralyzed man to Jesus. The man couldn't get to Jesus on his own, he was helpless. But his friends believed for him. They carried him, tore open a roof, and lowered him down. And the Bible says that when Jesus saw their faith, not just the man's, but his friends, he responded. That's the power of community. Sometimes you just need someone else to believe, for you to pray when you can't, to hold hope when your own hands are empty. So if your faith feels too small, lean into the faith of those around you. Reach out to a friend, a pastor, someone you trust. Let them know you're struggling. Don't hide your doubts or pretend you're okay. Vulnerability isn't weakness. It's the place where real healing begins. You'd be surprised how many people around you have felt the same way, but never found the words to say it out loud. When you open up, you create a space for others to share their struggles too. Suddenly, the burden you've been carrying alone feels lighter shared among caring hands. But what if you don't have anyone you can talk to? Sometimes loneliness is part of what makes these seasons so hard. If that's you, please know you're not forgotten. You are not invisible. Even in your isolation, God is with you. One way to break through the silence is to write out your thoughts and prayers. You don't have to worry about being eloquent. Just start with what's on your heart, your frustrations, your hopes, your pain. Pour it out on paper or in a quiet moment with God. You might find, as I have, that putting words to your feelings helps untangle them, even just a little bit. Faith also grows stronger when you remember the small ways God has shown up for you before. Maybe it was an answered prayer you'd forgotten about, or a time when something unexpected worked out, or even just a sense of peace that came when you needed it most. When life is tough, our memories can play tricks on us, making us forget every good thing that's happened. Take a moment to look back and notice the times God has been faithful, even in small, quiet ways. Sometimes keeping a journal of gratitude or answered prayers can become a lifeline when new storms come. Let's talk about another step that's both simple and profound, choosing to show kindness even when you don't feel strong yourself. It might sound strange, how can you help others when you're struggling to stand? But sometimes the act of reaching out, sending a kind message, or simply listening to someone else's pain can rekindle a spark of faith within you. It's like planting seeds of hope in someone else's garden, and before you know it, hope begins to grow in your own heart too. When everything seems broken, routines can bring comfort. It's not about forcing yourself to be productive or pretending everything is fine. It's about finding little anchors throughout your day that remind you life is still worth living. Maybe it's a walk in the fresh air, a favorite piece of music, a moment of prayer before bed. These small habits can become sacred spaces where faith and peace quietly return. Over time, they create a rhythm that helps steady your heart even when the world feels unsteady. Now, you might be thinking, that all sounds good, but I'm still afraid. What if I never feel better? What if God never answers? These questions are honest and they matter. I wish I could promise that life will turn around quickly, that your struggles will vanish, or that every prayer will be answered exactly the way you hope. But real faith is learning to trust even without those guarantees. It's deciding that God's love is enough even when you don't understand His ways. Sometimes the greatest act of faith is simply to keep going, to wake up and try again, to whisper a prayer when you feel empty, to trust that this darkness won't last forever. You might not see it right now, but God is at work in the waiting, shaping you. in ways you can't yet imagine. The roots of your faith are growing deeper even when the surface seems barren. And so as you take your next steps, whether shaky or sure, remember that every moment you choose faith over fear, hope over despair, you are moving closer to the light. Even when you stumble, even when you doubt, God's love will not let you go. You are not alone, not now, not ever. Let's keep walking this journey together gently, one day at a time. The road ahead may not always be easy, but you have everything you need to take the next step. Sometimes as the days stretch on and answers seem further and further away, it's tempting to believe that your pain will last forever, that this is just how it will always be now. But even in the darkest moments, there are glimpses of grace, little reminders that God is still at work even if you can't see it yet. It's like standing outside on a cloudy night, feeling certain the stars are gone, until just for a second a gap in the clouds appears, and you remember they were always there waiting behind the darkness. That's what faith can be, like a quiet trust that even when you can't see or feel God, He is holding your story gently, every chapter, every page. As you move forward, there's something else I want you to carry with you, the idea that small things matter. You don't have to change your entire life overnight. You don't have to wake up tomorrow bursting with confidence or joy. Sometimes faith looks like getting out of bed when you'd rather hide away, or taking a deep breath before you speak, or just deciding not to give up today. Celebrate those little victories. Give yourself permission to be proud of each step, no matter how small, because every step you take, no matter how shaky, is a sign of hope. You're still moving, still choosing to believe, still opening your heart to the possibility that God isn't finished with you yet. Maybe you've heard stories of miraculous transformation of people whose lives turned around in an instant. Maybe you wonder why your story isn't like that, why your healing feels so slow, so ordinary. But remember, not all miracles are loud. Some are quiet, like the slow mending of a broken heart or the gradual return of laughter after a season of tears. Don't discount the quiet work God is doing in you. Healing rarely happens all at once. It unfolds day by day with gentle patience. One day you'll look back and realize you've traveled farther than you thought, that the ache isn't as sharp, that your faith has grown roots strong enough to weather any storm. If you're still waiting for that breakthrough, I want you to know it's okay to rest. You don't have to earn God's love or approval. You don't have to prove your worth by being strong all the time. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is allow yourself to be cared for, to let yourself lean on God and on others, and to receive the grace that's offered even when you feel undeserving. Remember, Jesus didn't just teach about love, He lived it. He reached out to those who were weary and burdened, those who felt invisible or unworthy. You belong to that same story. Your struggles don't disqualify you from God's presence. If anything, they draw Him even closer. Let yourself feel whatever you're feeling: anger, sadness, confusion, even numbness. Bring it all to God. Don't hide it or pretend it isn't there. He can handle your hardest questions and your deepest pain. In fact, He welcomes your honesty. Sometimes simply sitting in the quiet, whispering a prayer as simple as, "I'm here, Lord. Help me," is more than enough. Over time, you might notice a shift, not always a dramatic change, but a softening, a gentle sense of peace that arrives just when you need it most. As you journey through this season, keep your eyes open for little sparks of beauty, maybe in the kindness of a friend, the laughter of a child, the warmth of sunlight on your face. These moments are gifts, reminders that God is still speaking, still loving, still present. Even in pain, there is goodness to be found. Even in loss, there is hope. These small reminders can be anchors for your soul, little signs pointing you back to the truth that you are not alone. And as your faith begins to steady, you may find yourself becoming a source of hope for others. Maybe someone will come to you, sharing their own struggles, looking for a listening ear or a word of encouragement. You might not have all the answers, and that's okay. Sometimes just being present, just saying, "I understand," can be the greatest gift. In those moments, your story, your pain, your healing, your persistence becomes a light in someone else's darkness. That's how faith spreads, not through perfection, but through honesty, vulnerability, and love. So as you reach the end of this time with me, I want you to take a deep breath and remember, small changes can make a big difference in your life and happiness. You don't have to do it all at once. Just begin where you are, with what you have. God is with you, loving you, guiding you forward. Your faith, no matter how fragile it feels right now, is enough. You are enough. If you felt something shift or found a glimmer of hope, I encourage you to share your thoughts or experiences in the comments. Your story could be the encouragement someone else needs to hear. And if this message has touched your heart, please remember to like the video and subscribe to the channel so we can continue walking this journey of faith together. May you live each day with courage and kindness, and may your faith grow stronger with every step. No matter what you face, remember you are seen, you are loved, and you are never ever alone. There's something beautifully human about longing for answers. When life unravels, most of us search for reasons, some thread of logic to make sense of our pain. You might find yourself asking, why did this happen to me? Why now? What did I do wrong? These questions can circle in your mind, sometimes keeping you awake at night, sometimes surfacing in the quietest moments when you least expect them. It's so normal to want explanations, to reach for some certainty that will make the struggle feel worth it. But sometimes the only answer is silence. Sometimes the only explanation is that we live in a world where even good people experience suffering, where heartbreak visits without warning. If you've ever felt angry with God, you're not alone. It's not uncommon to feel frustrated, let down, or even betrayed when life doesn't turn out the way you'd hoped. There's a story in the Bible about a man named Job, a man who lost nearly everything. His family, his health, his wealth, all gone in the blink of an eye. Job's friends tried to explain away his suffering, telling him he must have done something to deserve it. But Job's greatest act of faith wasn't in understanding why it happened. His faith was in trusting God anyway and crying out honestly and refusing to let go even when nothing made sense. You see, it's okay to bring your honest anger and confusion to God. He doesn't expect you to hide your feelings or pretend you're okay. If you need to shout or weep or sit in the dark with your questions, you can. Your pain won't scare him away. In fact, some of the closest moments you'll ever share with God might come through your most broken prayers. When you speak honestly, when you lay your heart bare with all its cracks and questions, God listens. He draws near not with judgment, but with compassion. There's comfort in realizing that faith and doubt can coexist. You can trust God and still feel uncertain. You can love Him deeply and still wonder about the future. These feelings don't cancel out your faith, they make it real, alive, and growing. So if you find yourself caught between belief and doubt, know that you're standing on holy ground. The journey of faith is not about having every answer, but about trusting the one who does. On some days, faith looks like holding on by your fingertips. On other days, it's just letting go. Letting go of your need to control, your need to understand, your need to have all the pieces fit together. There's a strange freedom in surrender. It doesn't mean you give up. It means you stop fighting the current and start trusting that God is carrying you, even when you don't know where He's leading. In these uncertain seasons, it can be helpful to create small rituals of hope. Maybe you light a candle and say a prayer each night, or read a comforting verse in the morning, or just take a moment to breathe deeply and remember that you're still here, still loved. These little acts can be anchors reminding you that God's presence isn't limited to the good times. He meets you in the ordinary, in the messy, in the in-between. It's easy to compare your journey to someone else's. You might see others seeming to flourish, their prayers answered, their lives on track, and you wonder why your story is so different. But remember, you don't know the full story of anyone else's faith. Everyone is fighting their own battles, carrying their own burdens, and longing for hope in ways that may never show on the surface. Don't measure your faith by someone else's highlight reel. You are exactly where you need to be for your own journey, and God is at work in your life even when progress feels slow. Give yourself permission to rest. Rest is not a sign of laziness or failure. It's a sign of trust. When you stop striving, stop demanding answers, and simply allow yourself to be, you make space for God's gentle voice to whisper peace into your heart. Sometimes all you need is to know that you are not required to fix everything. You are not expected to heal yourself alone. There is grace for you right where you are, even if you feel like you're falling apart. As the days pass, look for the small mercies. The cup of coffee that tastes just right, the friend who sends a kind message, the music that soothes your spirit, the sunrise that reminds you of new beginnings. These moments are like gentle taps on your shoulder, quiet reminders that God is still with you. Every act of kindness, every glimmer of beauty, every breath of hope is a promise you are not abandoned. If you find your faith flickering like a candle in the wind, remember that God is not measuring your strength, He is holding you in your weakness. His love is steady, unchanging, present in the very places you feel most alone. Faith is not the absence of doubt, but the courage to keep reaching for light even when your hands are trembling. As you keep walking, know that your story matters. Your tears matter. Your small acts of trust, even when you can barely believe, are precious to God. He delights in every moment you choose to hope, to breathe, to try again. Let's continue this journey together, one quiet moment at a time, gently finding our way forward in the company of a God who never lets go. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is simply to be honest about where you are. Maybe today you feel tired. Maybe you're discouraged by how slowly things are changing, or by how easy it is to slip back into old worries or fears. It can feel as if you're walking in circles, always ending up at the same questions, wondering when real change will come. If you've ever felt that way, please know there's nothing wrong with you. It's a part of being human, a part of this winding journey of faith. Progress is rarely a straight line. Sometimes it's one step forward and two steps back, and sometimes it's standing still and just breathing through another hard day. It can help on days like this to remember that Jesus himself understood disappointment and frustration. He knew what it was like to have people misunderstand him, to feel alone, to face challenges that seemed insurmountable. The stories in the Gospels aren't just about miracles and triumphs, they're also about misunderstandings, waiting, and pain. When Jesus was in the garden before his crucifixion, he prayed with such intensity that he sweated drops of blood. He even asked if the cup of suffering could pass from him, but in the end, he trusted God's will, even when it meant walking through darkness. That's not just a story of divine strength, but of real human struggle, a reminder that even the Son of God had moments of sorrow, fear, and longing for another way. If you find yourself feeling weak or uncertain, it doesn't mean your faith is failing. In fact, those are the moments when faith is most real, when you keep reaching out, keep asking for help, keep getting up, even when you want to stay down. Maybe your prayers feel small or your hope seems fragile. That's okay. Faith grows in the cracks and crevices of our brokenness. God can do more with a single honest prayer than with 1,000 perfect words spoken out of habit. Try when you can to speak kindly to yourself. So many of us are our own harshest critics. We replay our mistakes, worry about the future, or dwell on things we can't change. If you catch yourself spiraling into shame or self-blame, pause for a moment. Imagine how you would comfort a dear friend who was hurting. Could you offer some of that same compassion to yourself? Jesus taught us to love others as we love ourselves. But sometimes the hardest part is learning to show that gentleness inward. You are worthy of kindness, not just from others, but from yourself. It's also important to know that it's okay to need help. Maybe you need someone to listen, or a counselor to talk to, or simply a safe place to share your burdens. Reaching out isn't a sign of failure, it's an act of courage. God often works through the people around us, sending comfort and wisdom in unexpected ways. You don't have to carry everything alone. And when words fail sometimes, all you can do is sit quietly and let your heart rest in God's presence. You might listen to music that soothes your soul, or watch the way sunlight moves across the wall, or let tears fall if they come. These small acts are not wasted, they are prayers too. The Bible says the Spirit prays for us with groans too deep for words. Even when you don't know what to say, God understands every sigh, every longing, every silent hope. Maybe you feel disconnected from prayer right now. Maybe it feels awkward, forced, or empty. If that's the case, start small. You could simply whisper, "Help me," or "Thank you," or "Be near." Or if you like, write out your prayers as letters. Sometimes putting your feelings on paper helps you see them more clearly. Prayer doesn't have to look a certain way. What matters most is honesty and the willingness to let God meet you right where you are. If you've ever wondered what faith really looks like, maybe it's not some mountaintop experience or unshakable certainty. Maybe it's just this, holding on quietly in the dark. It's choosing to believe that even if you can't see the path ahead, there is a hand reaching out for yours. Even if you stumble, even if you wonder, that hand never lets go. So as you keep walking slowly, gently, one day at a time, know that you are making progress even when it feels invisible. Each small step, each quiet act of trust is sacred. God is not measuring your life by your victories or achievements, but by the way you keep choosing love, hope, and kindness even on the hardest days. I hope you'll keep coming back to these moments of quiet where you can remember that you are seen, you are loved, and you are being led, even when the way is unclear. Your faith is precious, and so are you. Let's continue to journey together, finding hope in small beginnings and courage in every new day. There may come a time when the waiting feels endless. You look around searching for signs that something is changing, that the heaviness will finally lift. But the days stretch on and the silence lingers. If you have ever found yourself wondering whether God has forgotten you or whether your prayers have somehow gotten lost along the way, I want you to know those feelings are more common than you think. Waiting is one of the hardest parts of faith, and yet it's also where some of the deepest growth happens. It's in these slow, quiet seasons that you might find your trust being refined like gold tested in fire. You may not feel stronger in the moment, but something is happening beneath the surface, deep within your spirit. There's an old saying that faith grows in the dark, and sometimes that darkness is simply a place of preparation, a season when you are being shaped for what comes next, even if you cannot see it yet. It doesn't mean you have failed. It doesn't mean you've been left behind. In fact, your waiting might just be the holiest ground you'll ever walk. On those days when it feels like nothing is happening, give yourself permission to slow down. You don't have to force answers or pretend you're okay when you're not. Instead, try to be gentle with yourself as if you were caring for a hurting child. What would you say to that child? Would you rush them through their pain, or would you hold them close, offering comfort and patience? Allow yourself that same kindness. God is patient with you. He is not in a hurry, even when you wish things would move faster. Sometimes in the waiting, it helps to shift your focus from the things you cannot control to the little things you can. Maybe today you can choose gratitude for something small, a meal that nourished you, a kind word from a friend, a warm bed at the end of a long day. You might not be able to fix all your problems, but you can look for moments of goodness, and those moments are like stepping stones across a river. One at a time, they help carry you forward. If you struggle to feel thankful, that's okay too. Gratitude isn't about denying your pain or pretending things are better than they are. It's about letting a little light in, even if it's only a flicker. Some days just getting out of bed is an act of faith. Just making it through another day is a victory. Let yourself recognize the strength it takes to keep going. As you continue, it might help to remember that God's timing is different from ours. We want answers right away, healing in an instant clarity without confusion. But God often works in ways we can't see through processes that take time. The story of Joseph in the Bible is a reminder of this. He spent years in prison, far from everything he hoped for, before finally seeing the pieces of his life come together. It didn't make sense as it was happening, but later Joseph could see how every step had prepared him for a greater purpose. Your story is still unfolding, even if right now you can only see one page at a time. If you need something to hold on to, try returning to simple prayers. You might repeat a short phrase throughout your day, something like, "God, I trust you," or "Stay with me, Lord," or even just "Help." These prayers don't have to be elaborate. They are simply reminders that you're not alone, that God is near even in the silence. Each breath can become a prayer, each sigh a surrender. There may be days when you feel forgotten by people, when no one calls or checks in, when the loneliness feels sharp. In those moments, imagine the presence of God sitting quietly with you, not rushing you or pushing you to move faster, but simply being near. You might not sense him, but his promise is that he will never leave or forsake you. Even if you feel lost, you are still held. With time, you may notice your heart beginning to change. The pain may not vanish, but you find yourself more able to breathe through it, to rest in it, to trust that the story isn't over. Your faith becomes less about having all the answers and more about learning to live in the questions, trusting that the one who holds the universe also holds you. So keep tending to your heart. Keep letting the light in, even if it's only a sliver. Reach out if you need support. Rest when you are weary. And remember, waiting is not wasted. This part of your journey matters just as much as any mountaintop moment. Let's keep going together, step by gentle step, trusting that even in the slow, quiet places, God is doing a new thing. It's strange how over time, pain can become something you almost expect, a familiar ache that moves in and tries to claim a corner of your heart. Sometimes you wonder if it will always be this way. You might get tired of the sound of your own prayers repeating the same words, hoping for a different answer. You wonder if your faith is too small, if you've missed something important, or if there's something wrong with the way you're trusting. But please don't let those thoughts convince you that you're broken or unworthy of God's attention. In truth, God treasures every prayer, even the tired ones, even the angry ones, even the ones that sound like silence. There's a part of faith that isn't talked about, often the part where you keep showing up. You do the small things, not because you always feel hopeful, but because deep down you trust that God is listening and working even if it takes longer than you wish. Sometimes faith is just showing up again and again, even when you have no words left. It's doing the next right thing, however small it might be, reaching out to a friend, opening your Bible, taking a walk, or simply sitting quietly and letting yourself rest. Maybe there are days when your thoughts feel like heavy rain clouds darkening your mind, making it hard to see any sunlight. On those days, remember that you're not alone in feeling this way. Throughout history, even the greatest saints and heroes of faith have faced seasons of darkness, disappointment, and waiting. They doubted, they questioned, they struggled with despair. And yet somehow those seasons became a part of their story, a chapter, not the whole book. It might help to remind yourself of the people who walked before you, who endured heartbreak, loss, and confusion, but found God's love waiting for them in the end. Remember the story of Peter, who denied Jesus 3 times, only to be welcomed back and given a new purpose. Or think about Thomas, who doubted the resurrection until he saw Jesus with his own eyes. Their stories weren't neat and tidy, they were messy and real, just like yours and mine. God's love wasn't withdrawn from them because they struggled. In fact, it was in their most difficult moments that they discovered how deep and unshakable His love really was. If you find it hard to believe these stories are true for you, that's okay. Sometimes you need to borrow hope from someone else to let their story become a lantern on your path. Maybe you can think back to a time when someone cared for you, forgave you, or showed you kindness you didn't expect. Sometimes that's God's way of reaching out to you through ordinary people. Let those memories remind you that you're not alone and that you are worth loving. Keep paying attention to small moments of beauty. They may not solve everything, but they can open a crack in your sorrow. The laughter of a friend, the sparkle of light on water, the feeling of a fresh breeze on your skin. These are small signs that life is still good, that hope still exists, and that God's creativity and care are everywhere. Sometimes these moments become the stepping stones that help you keep moving forward. Allow yourself to ask for what you need, even if it feels uncomfortable. You might need reassurance, someone to listen, or a simple reminder that things won't always be like this. God isn't annoyed by your requests. He delights in your honesty and welcomes every need you bring to Him. You don't have to hide your longing for love, healing, or comfort. He hears and He responds often in ways you won't expect. And when you are able, let others into your struggle. Vulnerability can be difficult, especially if you're used to being the strong one. But sharing your burdens doesn't make you weak. It connects you to others in ways that bring true comfort and healing. You never know, your honesty may be the very thing someone else needs to feel a little less alone. In these days, as you continue to put one foot in front of the other, keep inviting God into the middle of your mess, your questions, your ordinary moments. He is not waiting for you to clean up your act or figure everything out. He meets you right where you are, right in the thick of things. Your faith, no matter how small it feels, is seen and cherished. Trust that you don't have to walk this path perfectly. There will be days when you feel stronger, and days when all you can do is rest and let the world keep turning. Both are holy, both are accepted. Faith is not about never struggling. It's about believing that even as you struggle, you are still being held. Let's keep going, one small step at a time, believing that love, hope, and healing are possible even when you can't see them yet. As you move through these days, some bright, some shadowed, you might notice how easily doubts can slip back in. It might be a stray thought as you're folding laundry, or the hush that falls after a busy day, when suddenly all the things you've been holding at bay come rushing to the surface again. You might wonder, is this ever going to get easier? Am I ever going to feel whole again? The honest truth is that healing often moves slowly, with setbacks and surprises along the way. But slow is not the same as stuck. With every day you choose to keep going, even in the smallest of ways, you're moving forward step by precious steps. You may feel like you're drifting at times, like you're treading water just to keep from sinking. But faith doesn't ask you to sprint, only to endure. Each day you choose not to give up, even when everything in you is weary, is a quiet act of courage. The world may not notice, but God does. He sees the days you rise when you don't feel like it, the nights you pray, though words escape you, the moments you keep loving, keep hoping, keep believing when so much feels uncertain. There's comfort in knowing you don't have to earn your way back to faith or happiness. You're not in a race to impress anyone, not even God. His love is not a reward for getting it right. It's a gift that shows up again and again, especially when you feel least worthy. Some days all you can do is simply let yourself be loved. Let his love settle over you like a soft blanket, no striving, no pretending, just the gentle awareness that you are precious even in your weakness. Try to pay attention to the quiet ways God may be speaking to you in this season. Sometimes it's through a song that finds you at just the right moment, or a word from a stranger that feels like an answer to a prayer you barely dared to pray. Sometimes it's a memory that returns, reminding you of a time when things were better, as a promise that joy will return again. Or maybe it's simply the feeling that you're not alone in your struggle, that someone is holding you up when you feel like falling. If you're still struggling to see the light, that's okay. Faith is a process. It grows through questions, through wrestling, through nights spent awake and days spent searching for meaning. The point is not to be certain at all times, but to stay open, to keep inviting God into your uncertainty, to keep bringing your pain into the light, to keep asking for help when you need it. Sometimes the help you need comes from unexpected places. Maybe you stumble across a story that makes you feel understood, or you see a friend's smile that gives you a moment of peace. Maybe you find comfort in caring for someone else, a child, a pet, a neighbor in need. When you give love away, you often find more of it growing in your own heart. It's a mystery, but one of the sweetest gifts of faith in giving you receive. There may still be times when you feel disconnected, when it seems like you're just going through the motions. Don't let those moments convince you that your faith is gone. Even when your heart feels numb or empty, God is still near. The Bible tells us that nothing, not hardship, not loss, not even our own doubts, can separate us from the love of Christ. So if you feel distant, let that truth sink in. Nothing can drive God away from you. Not your sadness, not your mistakes, not your struggle to believe. And if you do have a moment, just one moment where peace settles in or hope flickers to life, let yourself enjoy it. Don't rush past it, searching for what's next or worrying about when it will leave. Let that small gift fill you up, even if only for a little while. Let it remind you that God is present, that healing is happening, that your journey is not in vain. Above all, be gentle with yourself. This is not a test you have to pass, nor a mountain you must climb alone. You are part of a great story, a beloved child on a path that winds and bends, but never ends in darkness. Even in your hardest moments, there is light enough for the next step, and that is more than enough. Let's keep walking together, hearts open to hope, even when the way is uncertain. There's something sacred about the simple act of holding on. It may not look like much from the outside, no fireworks, no grand gestures, but it is the quiet foundation beneath every strong faith. Sometimes just choosing not to quit is the most courageous thing you can do. You may not realize it, but those small choices you make to rise each morning, to breathe through another anxious thought, to show kindness even when your own heart aches. These are the steps that build resilience, the quiet victories that no one else may see, but that matter deeply to God. Perhaps you've noticed in the stillness of these long days that you've grown in ways you never expected. You've learned to listen more closely to your own heart, to recognize the gentle presence of God even when life is silent. Maybe you've discovered new strengths, patience, empathy, the willingness to start again. Sometimes we don't know how much we've grown until we find ourselves comforting someone else, sharing our story in the hope it might offer light to another soul wandering through their own darkness. It's possible that there are still questions circling in your mind. You may wonder about the purpose of all this struggle. You might ask if you'll ever truly feel whole again, or if there is something beautiful waiting on the other side of your pain. These are not questions with quick or easy answers, but that doesn't mean they're wasted. Each time you bring your confusion and longing honestly before God, you are creating space for grace, a place where wisdom can slowly take root, where trust grows through uncertainty. One of the miracles of faith is that it doesn't require perfection. You don't have to have it all figured out. You don't have to hide your doubts or your wounds. God invites you just as you are, messy, unfinished, full of questions. He isn't waiting for you to get everything right before He calls you beloved. His love wraps around you here and now, whether your faith feels strong or nearly gone. You might find yourself drawn to new routines, new habits that help you stay anchored when the world feels like it's shifting beneath your feet. Maybe you start each day with a simple prayer, or you end each evening by jotting down one thing you're grateful for. Maybe you listen to music that lifts your spirits, or you take a walk just to feel the sun on your face. These aren't magic solutions, but they are gentle ways of reminding yourself that you are alive, that hope can be found in the smallest places, and that faith can be as simple as showing up for your own life each day. If you stumble, and you will, because we all do, don't let shame tell you that you failed. Stumbling is part of the journey. Each time you get back up, you grow stronger. Each time you forgive yourself, you let go of the heavy weight of perfection and step more freely into grace. It's okay to take breaks to rest when you need to seek help and comfort when you are weary. God delights not in your performance, but in your willingness to be real with Him. Let yourself find joy again, even if it comes in small, unexpected ways. Joy is not a denial of sorrow, but a sign that life is still unfolding, that new beginnings are possible. Laugh when you can savor what is good. Notice the kindness that finds you even in hard times. These are the gentle gifts that help mend a battered heart and restore a sense of wonder. And when you can reach out to others. The community you build in your hardest moments can become a circle of light, a place where everyone's burdens are lighter for having been shared. You don't need to offer perfect words or answers, just your presence is enough. Sometimes a listening ear, a warm smile, or a message that says, "I'm thinking of you," is the very thing that helps another soul hang on. So as you continue through this season, remember that you are never alone, not for a single breath. The one who made you walks beside you, sees you, and calls you by name. Your faith, however fragile, is a treasure. Your life, however broken it may feel, is a story worth telling. Keep holding on, keep reaching for hope, keep showing up imperfect and beloved, just as you are. And so, dear friend, we reach this quiet moment together at the end of a long and winding road. Maybe as you listen now, your heart feels a little lighter, or maybe the weight is still there, but you sense a flicker of hope, a gentle reminder that though life may be heavy, you are never carrying it alone. The journey of faith is not a straight path. It twists and turns, rises and falls, and sometimes it seems to double back on itself. But through every step, God has been with you, holding your hand, steadying your spirit, and whispering love to your soul. You've walked through shadows. You've asked honest questions. You've chosen to show up for another day, to open your heart, even when it hurt, to risk believing that goodness and joy are not lost forever. That's something to be proud of. Every tear you've cried, every moment you've chosen to keep going, every small act of kindness and courage, they matter. They shape the story you're living, a story marked not by how many times you fell, but by the grace that helped you rise again. There will always be days when faith feels easy and days when it feels impossible. Both are part of the journey. There will be mornings when you feel strong, ready to face whatever comes, and nights when you wonder if you can take another step. No matter where you find yourself, on the mountaintop or in the valley, in the joy or in the waiting, God's love for you does not waver. It is as steady as the sunrise, as sure as the promise that you are never alone. If this time together has offered you comfort or made you feel seen, I want to thank you for sharing your story with me. Your presence here matters. Maybe you'll carry forward a phrase or a prayer, or maybe just the memory that even in your loneliest hours, someone else has felt what you feel and is walking alongside you, if only in spirit. That's the power of community, and that's why I invite you to keep reaching out, to keep commenting, to share your story, to listen and support others who are on their own winding paths. You never know the difference your words might make for someone else who feels like giving up. Sometimes just knowing that someone else understands, that someone else is praying or cheering or quietly believing on your behalf, is enough to help hope take root again. We are all sojourners here, travelers, learning what it means to trust, to love, and to believe together. If you haven't already, I encourage you to subscribe to this channel, to like this video, and to become part of this growing family of faith. Leave a comment if you'd like, share what's on your heart, or let us know how we can pray for you. Every story matters, and yours is a gift to this community. Remember, there is no shame in needing support. Reach out for help when you need it and offer help when you can. Let yourself rest when you are weary and rejoice when you feel strong. Trust that wherever you go from here, you carry within you the seeds of hope and faith and kindness, ready to bloom in their own time. As you move forward, may you find moments of peace, bursts of laughter, and reminders of love even in the smallest things. May your faith, however fragile, continue to grow roots and reach for the light. May you never forget that you are seen, you are cherished, and you are enough just as you are. Thank you for spending this time with me. May your days be gentle, your nights restful, and your heart always open to the love that never lets you go. Go in peace, beloved friend, and remember you are never ever alone.